Good afternoon and welcome along to part 2 of the live FRL Formula Racing League coverage of the Indianapolis 8 hours of Indy, and you've joined us about an hour and a half into the race. If you've been watching the other part 1 stream, you would have had the last 2 hours, the pleasure of the last 2 hours of Gordon Captain, our very own Gogs, bringing you the race start and the build-up, etc. But you've got me, you've got Mr. Lewis Robinson, myself, for the next couple of hours. He'll be bringing you all the race coverage, as Daniel Naismith there is doing his best to put me off in the comment section by saying bring back Dogs, boo. Throw those tomatoes, you've got me for 2 hours mate, so put up with it. So very warm welcome to you all, hope you're all having an absolutely cracking weekend. The sun is absolutely glorious here in real life as it is virtually on the track. It was scorching 32 degrees and 40 track temps, so those tyres have been taking an absolute battering on track. I know a couple of drivers have been experiencing trouble with overheating. My own team, FRL Racing League, currently car 2 and team 12 currently, we had to do a little bit of an adjustment on our strategy because the tyres were absolutely dead. So I wanted to check out for the weekend. But yes, hope you're all well. Pleased to have you with us for the next couple of hours. And let's just see where we are. Let's just do a little bit of a summary if you are just joining us. So Apex Online Racing Pro, car number 14, is currently leading with an 8.4 second lead. That Ferrari has been absolutely rapid. The Ferrari has been quite a strong car around here this weekend so far. And those pole position in qualifying, and that is currently leading to P1 in the race. Team Year 1 is currently P2 in the 38 BMW. They are unfortunately serving a 15-second time penalty though, due to speeding in the pit lane during qualifying, so that car does have a pending time penalty to be added on. So it wants us to be aware of as we come towards the closing stages of this race. We have a 888 Ferrari Team Phoenix 2, one of 2 cars entered by Team Phoenix for today's race. CDTB Esports P4, Team Phoenix 1's P5, SBR Europe, currently with Melvin Cruz in the car. NGK is also known by, doing a cracking job in P6 overall, P6 in class. IRR Black is currently P7 with Race Club UK P8. And that is the top 8 pro class. I must admit, blowing our own trumpet here at FRL, but the race categories are so far working out absolutely perfectly, as we have pretty much the guys at the top in pro, guys in the middle pro-am, and the guys at the back in am, except for Ben Milden. Ben Milden SBR Endurance is the outlier in that race category at the moment, but so far it's working out very well for that. BRC is currently leading pro-am. They had some rapid pace in the first stint, overtaking my own team FRL Racing. They overtook us towards the end of the time. Leading pro-am. Then we have Jorgensen in Nordic E-Racing P10, and a massive gap of 13 point. Well, I say massive gap, it's not that massive in the grand scheme of things with 6.5 hours to go, but 13 seconds back is FRL Jota Sport with Bernke in the car, P11 and 3rd in pro-am. And then we have the Mr. Good Looking himself, Sam Hutchinson, all the way from Liverpool. He's feeling very homesick right now, being all the way over in Indy, but he's currently P4 in class, and he's keeping tracks of Bernke and Jota Sport. So that's P12 for FRR Racing Team. And then we have our very good old friends at Turn 1 Sim Racing, 778 Aston Martin, Danny McCutcheon in P13. That is a battle to watch between Hutchinson and McCutcheon as this goes on. And then Ben Milden, SBR Endurance, it must be said they are struggling. They have struggled so far in this race. They qualified, I believe, P9, or around there anyway, give or take a place or two, and they find themselves in 14th. They are bottom of the pro category. Well, actually, just correct myself, they're not. The second bottom, as French Connection, is all the way down in 26th. I believe that could be a disconnection there for French Connection. I'll try and find out what's happened to those. But Milden, anyway, they have been struggling a little bit for pace, and we've been caught up with 1 or 2 little door bangs here and there. But Ben Milden, who's currently in the car, will be joining the comms box in a couple of hours' time relieving me of the commentary, so we'll find out what has happened there. Van Lieshout is Southern State Racing, is currently P15 in Pro-Am with a great looking car there, the McLaren, great livery. Huber for Slow Motion Races P16. Stefanak for Virtual Racing League. They are having a pretty good race considering they qualified P21 or P22 I'd like to say. They're currently up to P17. So better recovery drive for the VRL guys. ISS Racing Team, now this car, 155 Audi, that car extended the first stint by quite a way. They have only just recently boxed, so they are going to be quite quick. They've got 14 seconds up the road, or down the road from VRL. But just keep an eye on that gap, because that did do a longer stint. So fresher tyres for ISS Racing Team in this second stint. And then we have the third of the SBR cars, SBR GBR, with Harvey currently in it. P19. Lara P20, Van der Val for Val Racing Team in 21st. He's racing with his father, I believe. Tonight, so that's their team of two drivers, father and son, currently P21, and leading Amplas. Let's not forget the classes currently leading Amplas there for Val Racing Team. Then we have the 73 Porsche second in class, P22 overall, Baltic Sea Racing. Jackie's Racing Team with Clark at the bottom of Pro-Am. Jackie had a little bit of a difficult first stint, but Clark is now in the car, and Clark is an extremely quick driver, so watch out for car number 72. African Thunder P24, Ignition Sim Racing P25, and then French Connection and Glory UK. And the Glorious Ukraine has unfortunately had a internet issue, I believe, so they are now showing 39 laps down. Not quite sure how they are for 39 laps down. I wouldn't have thought a disconnect would have put you at the very back in terms of laps, so not entirely sure how they ended up being 39 laps down. But anyway, we then have French Connection in P26. So that is the race where it currently stands. We are 6 hours and 25 hours. Wow, that's a very long race. 6 hours and 24 minutes remaining. And there we are. So, where are these battles on track? Let's just have a look. We've got Nordic E-Racing in the pits. Now that is an unusual time to be doing a stop. I don't think that was their second stop, I'm sure it is. So that is an unplanned pit stop there for Nordic E-Racing. And what that move does is it moves potentially everyone else. We've got another car coming into the pits, and that's a Porsche. Now, is that the 73? It is. So Bitumen coming in as well for Baltic Sea Racing. So whether these guys are just fixing damage or they're running a different strategy, I'm not entirely sure. If you do know in the comments, then feel free to put it in. I'll be more than happy to get a better understanding of what's happening here. So closest battles on track. I don't want to seem biased, but I believe it is my very own FRL Racing Team. Car 214 Ferrari, 1.6 seconds off the back of Ferncut. The gap is just steadying a little bit. Hopefully will just be settling down into his race pace. And then we have Stefanak for Virtual Racing Lead. They are catching Slow Motion Races up ahead with Huber in the car, the 171 Audi. So this is always the part of the race for commentators where it is quite difficult, because not always endurance racing isn't always door-to-door racing. Thomas W, look at that, my fellow teammate in the car. Porsche did an early stop after lap bumps. I think they stopped. That makes sense. I remember now, they did have issues early on, didn't they? So that could be why. That could be a planned stop in terms of their stint out of sync. Thank you, Thomas. That's why you're in car 214 later on, mate. That knowledge there. So as I was saying, yeah, it's always difficult at this stage of the race for endurance racing, because you're not always having to commentate on door-to-door races. You're always having to kind of look at the gaps. But as we see here, Stefanak, the 723 AMG Mercedes, pulls to the inside into the braking center, turn 1, down the inside, and he moves up into P15. So that is an overtake on track there with the McDonald's sponsored Audi. And let's just go on board with the race leader, because he is currently in a little bit of traffic here. Let's just see how that is going for him in the cockpit, as we have Thomas joining us on the stream. Let's go Virtual Racing League car number 723. Nice to have you with us, Thomas. Good to see you guys doing well. Good recovery so far up into P15 after starting 21st, I believe. Let's just go on board with car number 38. Where is that? So that is Team Year 1. They've got the French Connection team behind them. That's the French Connection team all the way down in 26. That's Morgan Grace currently in the car for the French Connection team. 5 laps down, unfortunately, so that is a really bad look for them. My fellow admin Will Friedman racing for the French Connection team. And look at this, Southern State Racing on the back of Ben Milden. SBR Endurance really are struggling today, aren't they? Milden, I wonder if he's carrying damage or not. Well, he is. Look at the front of that Mercedes. That AMG is carrying a lot of damage. A bit of bonnet syndrome going on there for the AMG. So I just wonder how much that is affecting his downforce as he dips the tyres onto the dirt on the left hand side. But a little bit of a queue just starting to form here, as we've got the number 14 car, the race leader, coming on through. The blue flags, the race leader is now in the middle of them. Now, it is worth noting as well, the track temperature has increased to 40 degrees. It did start out around about 38 with the cloud, but I think the sun is just starting to come out a little bit more, so that is going to increase the track temperature, and the tyres, who are already hurting in these high temperatures, are just going to be like, no more sun, I'm already hot enough, you're already killing me. Oh, as we see the Southern State Racing car of car 100 almost playing live bowling there, almost taking out SBR Endurance, completely missed his braking zone and went flying on through. That was nearly a very high speed collision, and Ben Milden would have not been a happy bunny if they had made contact there. And there we are, on board with Hutchinson, with the FRL racing team, the admin team for this series, closing up to FRL Yotta. And they are now 3rd in class, so that gap as well to BRC, just in terms of the Pro-Am category lead, so that gap was around 20 seconds at the start of this stint. That is now down to about 14 seconds between BRC and FRL. So Hutchinson really is doing a cracking job here in terms of race pace, but they were one of the earlier cars to box, so their tyre life may fall off a cliff, as we saw with Conway in the first stint. So we'll see how that car goes along. I'll be watching with a keen eye, and I'll be in that car later on tonight, so hopefully they can keep it all in one piece so I can get to drive it. Let's have a look down the grid as well, as we've got the 303 car, up the grid, with CDTB, David Jr. currently in the car. He's in some traffic as well. I believe he's a blue flag, so you see the marshal there vigorously waving his blue flag. And P number 4 in class. So if you are watching live, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. If you've not already subscribed to the FRL channel, please do whack that subscribe button. You have joined us on an absolute humongous day of racing here at FRL. Not only do we have the 8 hours of Indianapolis here live on PlayStation 5 and ACC, but we also have ongoing at this very moment in time the 12 hours of battles on PC and FRL. Over on the Twitch channel, on FRL Twitch channel, you can watch the 12-hour battles. Not that I would encourage you to do so, because I would like you to stay with us here at Indianapolis, but a massive weekend of racing here at FRL. So please do like the subscribe button for plenty of action, upcoming action. We do have the sign-ups as well. The sign-ups are open for next season, Season 10, Season X in Roman numerals as they're calling it. Season 10 for FRL is upcoming, sign-ups are open. comment there from Pietro BRC. Unfortunately, I don't speak Italian. The best Italian I've got is Peroni. That's about the only Italian I speak. I do love a nice cold Peroni. And funny enough, in support of BRC, I do have a nice cold beer Moretti currently in the commentary box with me. So there you go, that is about as far as my Italian goes. BRC, the only Honda on the grid as well. Nice to see Honda. Don't normally see them very often on PlayStation 5. So, Milizia, I believe is how you pronounce that. Italians are probably creasing up my pronunciation there. But car number 52 doing a cracking job so far. 11.7 second lead to the next man in Pro class, which is Pro-Am class, which is Fernke for VRL Lotta. And Fernke, I believe, is doing a double stint. He started the race, I believe, started a double stint for Fernke. Just go back on board with Southern State Racing because he's still putting the pressure on Ben Milden. Ben Milden just showing quite a bit of high ping there as well. Hopefully that isn't an issue for him. So yeah, if you're watching live, get the comments in, let us know who you're racing for, let us know who you're supporting. Any questions, fire them my way. I'll do my very best in my limited knowledge of GT racing to answer them for you. Well, any questions on FRL as well? One of the admins on PlayStation. Let's bring you some onboard action, but actually with Southern State Racing. Let's see if we can get in that car. We can. Easy. Afternoon, Face. How you doing, mate? Good to have you with us. Yeah, tough race to you guys so far, isn't it? But it's a long way to go, mate. It's still over 6 hours. It's crazy, really, to think of it. Austrian Gaming 588 crashing to 171 almost without braking. Yeah. Yeah, saw that. Yeah, tyres are brutal at the moment. The good thing is the temperatures are going to dip for the second part of this race. If the eagle eye of you would have spotted Will Friedman did post some screenshots of the temperatures at various times. You will have noticed in the last 2 to 3 hours it goes down to about 10, it dips to about 10 degrees track temperature. So I think this is just a stage of the race where the drivers just have to nurse their tyres. Gordo there just coming in with a tip to keep an eye on African Thunder. African Thunder, where are they currently? It's a P22 but second in class. They have been looking mighty racy, haven't they? So that stopped their penalty. With class in, Taco Tuesday Series 9 and class champion still to drive. And this is the thing, this is what I love about endurance racing, when you've got teams of 3 or 4 drivers. You've got, you know, some drivers different pace compared to others. And this is where what you think a car is in control of a position now and it has like a nice controlled gap, that can instantly change depending who's in the car and what, you know, what their pace is. Now, just missed it live on air, but we just joined. Southern State Racing Car 100 has now got past Ben Milden, so SBR now drops down to P13. And I think we've lost French connection team as well. They've been disconnected. We've lost Glory to Ukraine as well. I know they were having internet issues. So that is unfortunate for Glory to Ukraine. As we see BRC boxing. Now surely is not planned. They were leading Pro-Am class. I know we've got a couple of BRC drivers watching the live stream. Have I missed an accident? I don't think I've seen any yellow flags out, so that is an unusual stop for BRC. What that does do is hands the class lead over to Firmke with VRL Jota, and it puts FRL Racing Team also up into second in class as well. So if you know what's happened to BRC there, just let us know, or that is just potentially a strategy call, but it would be quite an interesting one if it is. Let's just have a look as well at car 723 to Stefanak. Some of the cars around him, but we don't believe this is for position. It isn't, so car number 38 there, up ahead. So the field is starting to just get a little bit spread out as we go on board with car 2 on 4. The battle for Pro-Am lead is now heating up. It's not as if it wasn't already hot enough on track, it's starting to get even hotter here with the McLaren and the Ferrari going head to head. Just having a swig of refreshment there. Let's just, while this battle's going on our screens, let's just have a quick flick through the timings as well for the guys up in front. So Apex Online Racing certainly in control of this race so far. They've got quite a gap to Team Year 1, but then it's only a 2-second gap back until Team Phoenix 2. Team Phoenix currently running 2 of their cars in the top 5. And Gordon just commented on the stream there that McCutcheon's doing a cracking job. He is. Currently 3rd in class, P11 overall. I mean, I believe Turn 1 Sim Racing started 17th/18th. I think it was 17th, top of my head. For them at P11 overall, that's a cracking drive so far in Turn 1 Sim Racing. So, just flicking through, just trying to see. This is the closest battle on track at the moment, so I don't want to seem biased by keeping on board with my team, but they are the closest battle on track at the moment for position. I'm just sticking with this just for a little bit, just to see how Hutchinson and Firmke goes along. Firmke's just increased the gap a little bit on that last lap. And look at this at top now. Team Phoenix 2 is starting to apply some of that Italian pressure with the Ferrari all having to get out of the rear of that BMW. Team Sessa almost hitting the rear of Hansovitz. That's going to lose him a few attempts, maybe a second. And gaining ever so quickly. And probably a little bit early braking with the BMW may have just caught him out, or probably a little bit of missing the braking point. But either way, that was a very near miss for Team Phoenix 2. And their sister car is only a couple of places behind in P5. So we finally see SBR Endurance into the pit. Now, are they going to be fixing that damage? I think they need to, because they weren't going forwards, were they? They were just falling back. And when Ben Milden joins us later in the commentary box, we'll ask him what's been happening in that car. But it's been a miserable race for them so far, but there is a long way to go, and they've got the pace. They've got the pace to come back. That's the point I was trying to make earlier with the different drivers, and each driver having its own driving style and pace. Each stint can be different for these cars. It's very rare to get 4 drivers in one car so closely matched in terms of pace. Some teams are running drivers with quite a differential in terms of lap time. So on our screens is a battle for P2 overall in the Pro category and overall in the race. Very close now, Sessa and Team Year 1. Team Year 1 boxes. So we're seeing a number of cars now just starting to box. So the team's just doing. There it is coming up to the hour mark. So it's probably about time, to be fair. I probably just got a little bit confused with myself as to where we were in the race. But yeah, we are coming up to the hour mark. So it's probably about time for some of these cars to start coming in. Maybe a couple of minutes early. But that's probably a sign that the tyres are starting to wear off, and that probably explains VRC. Maybe their tyres. In fact, they're showing all the way down in 24th now. So what has happened to VRC? They're showing us 3 laps down as well. So they were leading the Pro-Am category, but they're now all the way down in 24th. That is whether they have just boxed early, and that is whether it's put them in terms of position because the other guys haven't boxed yet. I don't know, but that seems to be a little bit further down as where they're expecting them to rejoin. I'll just keep my eyes on that. As we see, Craig Law has now taken over from Ben Nilden. It looks like they haven't fixed that damage either. That bonnet on that Mercedes is still flapping around. So that number 588 Puma sponsored AMG Mercedes is going, but they swapped drivers. And as I said here, Team Year 1 now leaving the pits, and look like they're going to join in clean air. This is a very nasty time to stop by Team Year 1. Oh, I say that, I'm going to say rejoin in clean air. They've just come out ahead of Southern State Racing. As we see, Team Phoenix has moved up now because of that pit stop for Team Year 1. Let's just have a look at Hutchinson, because he's now got, I think that's potentially one of the Ferraris. Not sure who that is. Let's just kind of give Ferguson some breathing space, being in between of those two. And that is Hutchinson coming into the pits as well. So, what's McCutcheon going to do? McCutcheon is going to stay out. So we'll see who goes into the car at FRL Racing Team. I mean, I know who's getting into the car, as I've got the strategy in front of me right now. But I will keep you all in tenterhooks as to who goes into the car at FRL Racing Team. So this is where it gets tricky for me, because I'm trying to keep track of who's coming into the pits and where they rejoin. So we've got Southern State Racing battling away with Team Year 1, but we know Team Year 1, who has rejoined in P10, they were really net P3. So we're not expecting this to be probably a big battle between these two. You'd expect the number 38 to start pulling away from Southern State Racing, especially well with fresh tyres. The one thing we did see after that first stint was that fresh tyres was a huge time lap differential. The undercut was extremely strong due to the excessive tyre wear with these temperatures we were experiencing. And look at that, Mark Conway is back into the car. There we go, surprise, surprise, Mark Conway is going to be rejoining. I think he's going to be rejoining in clean air. He's got the 2.11.11 just coming down the pit straight now. He has. So that is Mark Conway back into the car after his first stint. And for a second stint. Right, where are these battles on track? Come on, where are we? I'm seeing a gaggle of cars here. I think a lot of these are all running out of position. And Team Phoenix 1 is now... Oh, no, clicked on the wrong car. As we see Marvin Crees just come through. So Team Phoenix 1 is now in for their pit stop. So strategy is pretty much on the hour for a lot of these cars. I should go on board with McCutcheon and Kozik, because this car 38 interview who has rejoined with fresh tyres is looking to slice its way through these guys like a hot knife through butter. As we see, Race Club UK is also into the pits now as well. So another key part of this race where drivers are in and out of the pits, and this is where you can gain seconds on in-laps and out-laps. As we see Team Year 1 slide down the inside of Turn 1 Sim Racing. Now this is one to watch, because we know Yotta Motorsport and FRL Racing Team were battling each other for Pro-Am class lead. So let's just see where Firmcut rejoins compared to Mark Conway. And Apex Online Racing back on board the leaders. These guys are absolutely flying at the moment. A cracking job by the Ferrari, E14 Ferrari. As a number of cars are now starting to come into the pits. If you look at the bottom right, you see the track map. So number 211 is leaving, so Race Club UK is leaving the pits. Could be coming out into some traffic here. Yotta Motorsport is now leaving as well. Got to watch where Mark Conway is. In fact, let's have a look at that now. So Vortau is now into the car, so they swap drivers. I think FR Racing League are about to take the lead for Pro-Am, the net lead. They have. So the undercut there has been extremely powerful, and the commentator is fist bumping away in the commentary box right now. That is a position gained for my very own team. So, whether that's a slow, I think that's a bit of a mix personally. I think that's a bit of a mix between tyres, but maybe also a slow stop for Yotta. It's quite a big gap, and there's only, what, 1 or 2 laps between either pit stop for either cars. It does show a lap time differential. The undercut is extremely strong. Now this is a team I haven't mentioned that much yet, but Nordic E-Racing, they've been going along very nicely, and they're now only right up the rear of Slow Motion Racing. We've got a car off in the background as well in the foreground. Car going extremely wide at the 90-degree right-hander. Not sure who that was, but Nordic E-Racing, Christensen is all over the rear of Huber, and this is a battle for position, battle for P11. They go side by side, McDonald's Audi and the green liveried Aston Martin. They're going to be side by side into turn 1. They're not. Christensen, beg your pardon, has got the move done, so that's Christensen up into P10. It is P10 for Nordic E-Racing. As we see, Virtual Racing League have also dived into the box for their second stop of the race. So, African Thunder, let's have a look at the AM category. We've done quite a lot of attention in Pro and Pro-Am, and let's not forget the AMs. So, African Thunder, who has got their window wipers on, and I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not racing here in Indianapolis. It is completely dry, bone dry. The African Thunder, they've got their window wipers on. Maybe they've got a lot of bugs, a lot of dead flies on the windscreen, and they're trying to clear it. Who knows? But either way, it's working for them, because they're currently leading AM-Class category. And they've got quite a lead as well. Baltic Sea Racing is quite a way back from them. So a good position so far. Coming up to 2 hours into this race for African Thunder. Oh, almost making contact there with the Audi on the right hand side. The Audi tucks in behind. Don't think that is full position. Can't quite work out who that is. And just joining here, this isn't a battle for position on your screens, but just a lot of cars, back markers, drivers having to deal with traffic now. And this is, again, all about endurance racing, where you're having to deal with cars quicker than you behind you and cars lap down ahead of you. It's a lot of the time it's not racing for position all the time. It's just getting through the traffic and not being held up as much as possible. As we're on board with Tardo for ISS Racing Team in P10. The car ahead of him is Nordic Racing on this is pole position in Pro-Am. I'll be back with you in about 30 seconds, guys. I'm just quickly leaving the commentary booth for 30 seconds. Be back with you very shortly. I'm back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for that. I had to quickly go sort out my dog who was barking outside. And then I was just responding to a little bit of another mission on Discord, so apologies for that. Like a 2-minute break, but I'm back with you. So, where are we? A number of cars are just doing their pit stops and now back out. And the new drivers in the cars are just starting to settle in to their race pace. Southern State Racing is currently leading Pro-Am, but they've not yet boxed, I believe, for their second stint. But the car out in front, number 14, has still not boxed. Now this Ferrari, I don't know how they're doing it, but they are extending their stints. They're doing long stints, this number 14. So they must have an absolute genius setup to keep those tyres lasting as good as they are. So we've got a number 48, IRR Black, 3 cars here. So let's just give you a bit of an order. So Apex Online leads, not yet boxed in this second stint though. Team Phoenix is P2, SBR Europe is P3, IRL Black P4, Team Year 1 is P5, CDTB P6, Southern State Racing P7, but they've not yet boxed either. Team Phoenix 1, and this group of cars here, let's just stay on board with this for a moment because a number of cars battling away here. Some of these are back markers, I believe. Let's just see how Team Phoenix 1, Masuni, deals with all this. Cars all over the place, blimey. Dragging off 4 cars. That Southern State Racing must be really struggling on its tyres. See what the traction is like on this McLaren. Boxing, it's boxing. Yeah, I thought it would go into, because it looked like it was struggling in the traction zones there. So, and in the background we've got the number Ferrari, just trying to work out who that is. As we see Lieshout stopping in his box. Let's go on board with Vortal because they are battling for position here in P14. They've got Race Club UK adding out in the car, 211 McLaren, the 2 McLarens going head to head. So this is the battle for P13 on your screen, guys. Oh, if you see the Yatra Motorsport car spin, and there's a little bit of contact there with the Sunsport AMG Mercedes. That was Ignition Sim Racing, so they are currently running P25 back on the grid, unfortunately, and they've got a little bit of damage as well. That's Sun Energy. So Slow Motion Races is also in the box, and that was another car struggling for traction, so that was their tyres going out at the end of that stint. So we have got a very big field spread now. We've got cars all over the track. I'm just trying to pick out the battles as and when they crop up on track. Nordic E-Racing not boxing yet, and Apex Online Racing, AOR as well. Oh, car getting Oh, it looked like the car was just getting a little bit sideways there through that right-hander. I think it may have done. A bit of a moment there, I think, for car number 14. Tyres, they've been on this set of tyres now for well over an hour. So are they going to box this lap? They're not. So, still going along, and that gap to Team Phoenix is quite considerable now. Let's have a look with my friends over at Turn 1 Sim Racing. Adam Anderson in the car of that Aston Martin, closing on Race Club UK. Now you are a different category, but you are still racing for overall position. So this is a battle. Very close now. Anderson has been a very quick driver in the first stint, and I think he's now side by side. Let's get on board with these guys. He's through. So Adam Anderson moves up into P11. And we've got car number 72 off now. That's Jackie, I believe it is. It's Jackie's racing team. So Ninekin is off. So they're down in 22nd place. And they've had a moment. Ninekin had a moment towards the end of that lap. So Team Phoenix 2 is now coming into the box. Is Apex Online Racing going to box? No is the answer again. I don't know how they're doing it. Their tyres must be absolutely screaming in pain. As we've got yellow flags out in Sector 1, that is car number 21. Who is that? That is African Thunder. African Thunder, the AM class leader, is off. Now, I'm not sure if that was contact or on his own accord, but he's off. Vermac in the car of that African Thunder BMW. He's now down to 19th. But they've got quite a big gap to Baltic Sea Racing, the Porsche, currently P2 in class, with Val Racing Team in 3rd in class, P21. As we see Conway just starting to close up to ISS Racing Team. Now, we believe Nordic E-Racing and ISS Racing Team have not yet boxed for their second stop. So you would expect this Ferrari, Iron Dames Ferrari, to be very quick compared to these guys, and Conway will be loving these fresh tyres. As we see ISS pull to the inside. He's going to defend it to the inside. Conway's going to have a look to the outside of turn 1. Going to brake a little bit early, a bit conservatively. He's got to watch out for the 589 car behind, which is SBR GBR. Conway, and we want him to dispatch this Audi fairly quickly. Oh, the McDonald's Audi in the background there, having to get out the throttle. Conway down the inside of the right-hander. Is he going to make it stick? He's got the Audi's going to have a look on the back in the background as well. So we're now going to be 3 wide going in down the back straight. So far, this is really good racing from these guys involved now. So Conway to the outside. What can he do? He's got to watch out. That Audi is quite slow in the braking zone. And now back is the Audi goes through. Audi goes through the AMG Mercedes. So, to the outside, Conway is ISS. Caltado, is he going to box? Caltado goes deep. And Conway goes on through. Can he avoid the contact? Oh, there's always a little bit of contact between the three of them. They give each other space. But now down the start-finish straight, and Caltado is really struggling for speed now. That car must be struggling on tyres. So the Audi and the AMG Mercedes goes flying on through. And we've got a slow car in Sector 2 as well, car 303, and that's CDTB Esports. Currently in P5, they've had a moment in the middle sector as well. And we're on board with Southern State Racing because they're also closing up on the 99 of that Yotta Sport. Yotta Sport have had a bit of a nightmare pit stop really, because they were fighting FRL Racing Team for Pro-Am lead. So they're about 17, well more than that actually, they're over 20 seconds off FRL there, so not really sure what's happened to Yotta Sport. As we see African Thunder in the box, so Baltic Sea Racing go on through to take M-Class lead. But we know they're doing a little bit of a different strategy. They're a little bit out of sync, shall we say. Now, Team Year 1, these were P3 before the round of this pit stops. They've got Ben Milden, I believe. That is Ben Milden. It is. It's Craig Law. Sorry, it's not Ben Milden, it's Craig Law, beg your pardon. Craig Law in the Mercedes behind him, down in 15th position. But Team Year 1 just starting to come back up to the grid after boxing earlier. And let's have a quick look at Southern State Racing, because they are now very close to Whitball and Vortal. Ben Milden just joining the live stream there, saying sorry to 171. I think there was a contact there between SBR Endurance and Slow Motion Racers. But Slow Motion Racers currently in P17, sporting a great livery there of McDonald's, making me hungry every time I see that car on screen. Now, is Apex Online Racing going to box this lap? Yes, they are. They finally boxed. So Campic for the number 14 Ferrari race leader comes in. A mighty stint. They have certainly got the tyres working a lot better compared to everyone else on the track. They're doing a lot longer stints compared to everyone else. And I suspect they're doing a 6th stopper, which would be the optimum strategy if you can get the tyres to work, which they are. Let's just go on board with Conway again, because he's got a right gaggle of cars. Not Conway, beg your pardon. 211 Adenel for Race Club UK. So he has got a right gaggle of cars behind, and one of them being Vortal, and the 588 of Law. It's a Craig Law down the outside now, the inside. It's a bit of a switcheroo. So Craig Law goes on through up into P13. Now, is that the start of the recovery? Jones down the outside of the 211 car as well. So that's Race Club UK status position gained for SBR Endurance. I was just about to say, is this a start of the recovery for SBR Endurance? That is 2 positions gained in the space of 2 corners. So Craig Law, who in fact, it's worth mentioning, is one of previous 2 race wins in FRL driver swap with his teammate Will Friedman. Unfortunately, Will Friedman, French Connection team, had to retire the car due to numerous internet issues their end, so that's unfortunate from them. But Craig Law, back to my original point, is a very quick driver and has got a history of winning races in an FRL, so fighting back and going nose to nose with other cars will be no alien to us. We just have a look at Vortal and Race Club UK. Number of cars going fairly deep into that 90-degree right-hander. Back on board with Law, he's got past his 38 car of Team Year 1. So that just shows you the pace of Craig Law at the moment. And that AMG Mercedes of SBR Endurance, they're battling away with Team Year 1 there and showing some pace. And in the background we've got Southern State Racing and Yotta Esport. So very close battle here, middle of the pack. P12, P13, P14, all on your screens just for a moment in time. As the air temp has just changed to 32, I believe. So, with the pit stops, SBR Europe is now leading this race, but I believe they are a little bit out of sync because Apex Online Racing did box the previous lap. As we now see Nordic E-Racing coming to the pits, so that is going to move Mark Conway and the FR Racing team up into P8 and Pro-Am lead overall. So FR Racing team doing a cracking job in the last stint, and that is all down to Hutchinson. He had a really good stint on those tyres and got the FR Racing team back on top in Pro-Am category. They really did struggle in the first stint with tyres. The tyres were really struggling, and we just saw Mark Conway just dropping back and back and back. But Hutchinson's come in, stabilised, and now the car just looks like it's performing a little bit better in terms of pace. So that's your Pro-Am leader there for the moment in time, with 5.5 hours remaining. Mark Conway and the FRR Racing League team. Back on board with this battle for P12 and P13. It is still raging on, and P11 I must add. So Vortal for VRL Yacht Sport and Southern State Racing. Only separated by a few attempts. On board with Whitball now for Southern State Racing. I must say it's absolutely fantastic to see so many of you watching live. I think we've got around over 30 people watching live at the moment, which may not sound like a great number compared to your big YouTube streamers, but it's certainly great to have all over 30 of you watching live this very moment in time. Please do drop any comments in the box. Let me know who you're supporting. Let me know if you've got any comments how your races are going. And please do drop a like on the video. It would be very much appreciated. And hopefully you can put this all this evening's, because we've still got over 5.5 hours of racing to go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start, we'll see this sun start dipping here at Indianapolis. Temperatures coming down, with quite a nice picturesque finish to this race. So RedTech28 joining us on the live stream here. Forza Ragazzi, Dow Team Phoenix. There you go. That is Italian accent there. Great to have you with us, Team Phoenix. You're doing well so far. You've got 2 cars in the top 7. Mossaoni in the 488, Team Phoenix 1, and Sessa in Team Phoenix 2, the 888 Ferrari. Ferrari, of course, on the back of their fantastic 24-hour Le Mans win, beating Toyota and others. I know Ferrari have put a lot of effort into that LMP class to win Le Mans, and they managed to do it. Unfortunately for Ferrari, they're not having the greatest F1 seasons, and their car just doesn't seem to be very easy to drive or get into the window for Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Well, funny you should say that, Red Tech. I actually did spend my honeymoon in Italy. We went to Italy for, how long were we there for? About a week and a half, a couple of weeks. Went all around Italy. Fantastic place, one of my favourite countries. I do love Italy. I'm also a huge lover of Ferrari. Italian food, fantastic, can't beat it. I know the French listening in now will not be liking it. Will, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but Italian food is better than the French. But yes, Rome is one of my favourite places in Europe, without a doubt. Absolutely loved Rome. Florence, Naples, all around there. As we see the battle for P6, as I'm rambling on about trips around Italy, we've seen Team Phoenix 2 and CDTB go side by side, and that is Sessa through up into P6 for Team Phoenix 2, the 888 Ferrari. As we see, oh dearie me, oh, Race Club UK Adinal has had an absolute huge accident at the final corner. That is one huge crash bang wallop. Wow, that car is not going to be passing an MOT test anytime soon. That is significant damage for Adinal and Race Club UK. Now that is unfortunate for them, because they were going very well in this race earlier on in the pro category. They're now going to find themselves right down the bottom of the field in pro class and the overall position. That car will be limping back to the pits, because that is significant damage on the front of that McLaren. Big accident there though. Looks like just oversteered on the exit of the corner, went to correct it, and then the car just went into the barrier. I hope he's strapped in nicely into that car, because he'll have significant whiplash from that accident. Oh, so funny. Right, let's just so we've seen Apex Online Racing retake the lead of this race, as we saw SBR Europe box, and my good old friend Malkowski is now in the car, in the Mad Panda AMG Mercedes. Varen Malkowski is in the car. He's raced with FRL previously, racing for Team FRL in a team event a few months ago. So he's a driver we know very well here at FRL. He's a great guy. Hopefully he does well. Currently P5 for that team, SBR Europe. So Godspeed to them. Let's see how Craig Law's getting on as well, the sister team for SBR. As I did say about 10-15 minutes ago, this is the start of the recovery drive for SBR Endurance, and it could well be. They are a way back, but it's only 14.2 seconds from the nearest car, and there is still 5.5 hours to go, so plenty of recovery to be done here for SBR Endurance, but it can be done. I know their aim will still be finishing in the top 10, that will be their aim, and they are currently P10 overall. As we see, which is not a surprise, Race Club UK coming into the box to fix that damage. As we see Ben Berryman joining us on the live stream. Come on, T1SR boys. Good to have you with us, Ben. Hope you're well, mate. And your boys are doing an absolute storming race. Turn 1 Sim Racing, 778 Aston Martin. Started P17 in qualifying, and they're now at P9 overall, but second in class. 8 seconds off Mark Conway, FRL Racing League. And I know, if that is a battle for Pro-Am class at the end of this race, that'll be one worth watching. 2 teams with 8 drivers who know each other very, very well. We have a lot of banter between FRL and Turn 1 Sim Racing. A bunch of good guys over there, so that'll be an interesting battle to keep our eyes on. As we see Race Club UK now leaving the pits. Godden is now in that car, so disaster for them. And let's just go back to the AM class as well. We see Val Racing Team currently leading AM class now. African Thunder in 3rd, and Ignition Sim Racing 5 laps down in 4th. Unfortunately, we have lost a couple of cars from AM class due to disconnections. We had 1 or 2 cars unfortunately withdraw their entry just before the race, which is unfortunate. We were at one point looking for 30 car grid, but we went down to 28, and then due to 2 disconnections in this race, we're now only at 25. So unfortunately, we have lost 5 cars, and we are still running with 25 with 5.5 hours to go. This has gone on board with Wick Bowl in the 100 McLaren of Southern State Racing P12, and closing up to Vortau in P11. And here we are with Valkovsky. I was just picking up a few laps ago. The old fresh tyres. I'm just having to correct that oversteer a little bit there though. Closing up on Team Year 1. And the battle for P11 as well is very much on here with Whitball and Vortau. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th in Pro-Am. Whitball extremely close here to brought out. Whitball almost hitting the outside wall there as well. Having to get out of the throttle a little bit just to correct the car. So another pit stop for IRL Black. So as we tick away to nearly 5:45 UK time with 5 hours and 19 minutes remaining on the race, let's just do a roundup as to where we are on track. So Apex Online Racing is leading the race in P1, Team Phoenix 1 in P2, Team Year 1 P3, SVR Europe P4, Team Phoenix P5, CDTB Esports P6, IRL Black, who we just seen coming out the pits now, P7, Mark Conway for FRL Racing Team P8, leading Pro-Am, Adam Anderson in the car for Turn 1 Sim Racing P9 overall, second in class, Craig Law for SVR Endurance is your top 10. Vortal for VRL Yota Esports P11, Whitball Southern State Racing for P12, Virtual Racing League P13, Nordic E-Racing P14, Slow Motion Racers P15, SBR GBR P16, ISS Racing Team, almost said ISIS then, blimey, P17, Jackies Racing Team P18, VAR Racing Team leading AM class in P19 overall, BRC P20, they've had an unfortunate issue at their end, they were leading Pro-Am at one point, Race Club UK, who we just see in the barrier, down in 21st, Over Maniatics P22, African Standard P23, Baltic Sea Racing P24, and Ignition Sim Racing is last but not least in P25. So that is your race order with 5 hours and 18 minutes remaining. And just to confirm what we have in store, actually before I go on to do that, just to confirm, Whitball has now got past Vortal, so Southern State Racing move up to P11. So just to confirm the running order tonight, I will be in the commentary booth for another 45 minutes or so, and Ben Milden will be taking over in the commentary booth, bringing you the middle stage of the race for an hour. And then we have the popular Tom Cairns in the commentary box for 2 hours from 7:30 till 9:30. And then we'll be handing over to our very own Chris Gedman, head admin on PlayStation 5 for FRL. He'll be bringing the race to a close for the final 2 hours, and hopefully potentially interviewing the race winning team. I actually do need to set that up actually. So I'll be messaging someone from Apex Online Racing later to try and get a couple of their drivers on the stream for a live driver interview. If they win, of course. That's assuming they're winning. I mean, I've been very preemptive there, aren't I? They are currently leading with 5 hours 16. I just completely got ahead of myself for a moment there. There's still a long way to go. I can't believe I just said that. They may not even win. Team Phoenix 1 is keeping them very much honest in P2. Let's just forget I said that. But they are very much leading the way at the moment, Apex Online Racing. So I would go on the fence and say it is their race to lose at the moment. But there is over 5 hours to go, and anything can happen. You could have sim failure gear, you could have internet issues, you could have an accident on track, the pace could just go. There is a number of things in sim racing, endurance racing that can happen. So yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves too quickly into this. So, gap between Conway and Anderson is coming down quite considerably. Adam Anderson, are we just seeing the tyres of that FRL Racing Team's Ferrari just starting to go off again? Because that gap was 8 seconds. It's now down to 2.6. And with 5 hours 15 on the clock, we are heading, again, quickly approaching another round of pit stops for a lot of guys. Victor Aston tyre wear is chef's kiss for car number 16. That is the strong point of the Aston Martin. I think that's what we're seeing as well with the other Aston, which is Kern Monson Racing. They don't seem to be being impacted by tyre wear as much compared to my team of FRL Racing Team 214. But Jorgensen is doing a very steady job so far. 6th in Pro-Am, 14th overall. And he's got the Porsche of Baltic Sea Racing up ahead, I believe. It is. So this is a back marker up ahead, not 4th position. BRC and Ignition are still carrying on. It's good to see. They're a long way back, BRC, but it's good to see them still continuing. That's exactly what we want to see, is cars out on the track, still racing, no matter where we are. Let's just go back on board with Jorgensen, because he has now dispatched that Porsche and he's got his sights set on Vortal. So Jota Esport just seem to be falling back a little bit. Their race pace compared to their earlier stint is not as strong. As I said, they were leading Pro-Am category. I think the Pro-Am category can be the one to watch, because we've had the lead change numerous times there in this race, as we see Apex Online Racing actually cross the 100 lap threshold. So that is 101 laps now completed in this race. They're doing an absolute stellar job. Where is P2? Team Phoenix, they're not even through. They're only just coming through the second sector. Back on board with Jorgensen, because he's closed very quickly up to Vortal. Let's go on board. We've got a car off in the foreground as well. I think that's car number 21. That is African Thunder's off again, classing. Where's he going to rejoin? He's just rejoining. Now that compromised Vortal. I think it has. Jorgensen's going to get an absolutely great run on the outside of Vortal. He's going to be on the bank and they're going to watch it. The Porsche in the background of Baltic Sea Racing of Diu Don Ihui, I probably butchered that pronunciation, I do apologise, is watching this event very closely. So Jorgensen for Nordic E-Racing goes on through into P13. And I think Baltic Sea Racing's got through as well, so Vortal for VRL Jota Sport is just struggling a little bit, and the support from his teammate 5 Victor in the comment section live on the live stream. Go on, son, he says. Great racing there from Jorgensen. Nice to see a Nordic Scandinavian team on the grid. Being half Norwegian myself, a little bit of a close affinity to Scandinavian countries. I assume Jorgensen is from Denmark. Do correct me, Fire Victor, if you do know, but I assume he's Danish. With a surname of Jorgensen. This has always been like a geography lesson, hasn't it, with Lewis today? I've been talking to you about my honeymoon in Italy and now Norwegian heritage. And, of course, another aspect of endurance racing is food. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm planning a takeaway pizza later on. I need to time it quite nicely because I'm going to be in the car for 2 of the final 3 hours for FRL Racing Team, so I need to try and eat before I get into the car, but I've still not yet decided what I'm going to order. But yeah, let us know in the comment section what you guys are doing for food. Hopefully you got some exciting stuff to keep you going through these hours. Will Friedman, I told the wife and kids to leave the house until tomorrow morning, and this is actually only for 50 minutes of driving. Will, think of the positives, mate. You've got a nice, quiet house for the evening. You can crack open that fine French red wine, maybe a little bit of steak, some French fries. There is many possibilities for you this evening, Will Friedman. Do not knock it. It's Saturday evening, home alone. Wow. Yorkshire Mick, having a barbecue. Do you know what? That is a shout, isn't it? If only I could live stream and do commentary at the same time as cooking up some sausages on the barbecue. Typical Englishman, typical Yorkshireman there. Slightest bit of sunshine in the United Kingdom and we are whipping out our barbecues. Don't knock it, people. I must admit, one of the options I have been considering is buying one of those outdoor pizza ovens. I like the idea of making my own pizzas. Maybe you can keep Chris Gedman some company in the commentary booth later, Will. Let's go back on board with SBR Europe. Let's turn our attentions back away from our summits and dietary needs this evening and have a look at SBR Europe, the 717 AMG. Mad Panda Mercedes is on a mission. Balkowski is charging down behind Kosick in Team Year 1. The problem with Chris is that I can barely understand him. He is, of course, for those of you who don't know Chris Gedman, he is Scottish. So that does explain a Scotsman and a Frenchman. Bit of a mismatch there in the commentary booth. So we see Mark Conway. So Turn 1 Sim Racing has took the lead of Pro-Am category. So that Ferrari for FRL Racing is starting to chew its tyres up again. And I believe they are due for a pit stop, because for the eagle-eyed watchers of you all will have noticed at the bottom of your screens a driver change has been requested. So I believe we're about to see 214 head into the pits on this lap for a driver change. And this is where the secret weapon of FRL Racing Team is unleashed. Will, the classes are perfect. I was talking about that actually earlier on to Mark in our party chat, that the classes have worked out really, really well. You got the pros, pretty much the majority of the pros at the top, the pro-ams in the middle of the grid, and then the ams at the back. The categories have worked out really, really well, and as well, I think Virtual Racing League, they would have been classed as an AM car based on their qualifying, but we took the executive admin decision to move them to Pro-Am because we did feel they were out of position in qualifying, and they weren't a AM class car, so we bumped them to Pro-Am, and that is paying off because they are P12. We know Thomas Von Der Eck, who is in the car, is a quick driver. There are a good bunch of guys over at Virtual Racing League, and just give them a little bit of a advertisement. Virtual Racing League, they will be hosting 12 hours of Barcelona, I believe at the end of September. I'm sure one of the Virtual Racing League guys will come onto the live stream and just confirm the date later on at some point. But Virtual Racing League will be hosting 12 hours of Barcelona, so if you are loving endurance racing and driver swap, do head over to their Discord at Virtual Racing League and sign up to that race. FRL will be looking to get a car entered into that, I believe. Sean Paul. Nothing wrong with being Scottish. There isn't, mate. And the Scots have invented one of the best cuisines to come out of this modern world, and that is square sausage. For those of you outside of the UK, if you've not yet had square sausage, get yourself over to England on a nice little holiday, up to Scotland, a fried Mars bar and a square sausage, and your life will change. So, Thomas Walsh is now in the car for FRL Racing Team. Now, I tasked him as the secret weapon for FRL. It's probably bigging him up too much, but he is a quick driver, Thomas Walsh, so hopefully just keep our eyes on Mr. Walsh and see what he can do for FRL Racing Team. So, where are the battles? SBR Europe are still battling away with Team Year 1. Let's get on board with Valkoski. I'll be back with you in 1 minute, guys. I'm just going to refresh my drink. I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. And I'm back with you. So we now just tick over into the final 5 hours. We are 3 hours completed, ladies and gentlemen. And we have 5 hours remaining. We're not even halfway yet. Not even halfway. It's an interesting battle developing here though, between P11 and P12, Nordic E-Racing and Virtual Racing League, Jorgensen and Von Der Eck. As we see the Turn 1 Sim Racing car box as well, so about 3 or 4 laps after FRL Racing team, so let's just keep our eyes on that battle as well to see where they rejoin, as we see Team Phoenix 1 with Mossonini. I'm not going to pronounce the name, I'm really struggling with some of these drivers. Moss even, we'll go with that. Boxes for the 488 Ferrari. I'm going to shut up and stop attempting to pronouncing these drivers' names. So, you have me for another half hour, you'll be pleased to know. I'm only with you for another half hour, and then Ben Milden will be joining us in the commentary box to take you through the next hour of the race after myself, as I'll be getting ready to get into the car to do my stints. And then we have Tom Cairns and Chris Gedwin completing the rest of the race for you live on FRL YouTube. Just please note we will have to end the stream and just start the new stream, so you will have to switch over to the new channel once it goes live. Apologies, there was a 3 or 4 minute delay in between the stream when I took over from Gold earlier. That was my fault. Had a bit of a technical issue with the stream, but hopefully Ben Milden will be able to be a lot more professional than I was and get it running a bit quicker. So it's uninterrupted coverage for you for the race here at Indianapolis. So, what are the temperatures doing? We are still 33 degrees and 40 track. I'm surprised actually. I was expecting the temps just to start tweaking down a little bit. We are 3 PM local time, so maybe not. Maybe another hour or so before. So maybe I've been a little bit optimistic. It is still 3 PM on track local time. So if I get to 4 or 5, that may start dipping to help out those tyres. So SBR Europe here are doing very well. I think they're looking on course and challenging for a podium in pro category, so they're doing well. Now this is interesting. So Danny McCutcheon is back in the car for Turn 1 Sim Racing, and he's rejoined a second, or around about a second, ahead of FRL Racing Team. We have a stop-go penalty for over Maniatics, car 300, down 24, Pro-Am. A stop-go 30 penalty for them. That is unfortunate. English Sim Racing's in the pits, potentially to change drivers. BRC is now up to 22nd. But yeah, going back to the battle for Pro-Am, so these two are net P1 and net P2 in Pro-Am category, FRL Racing Team and Turn 1 Sim Racing. And the gap is now only 8 tenths. So this is a battle for position you're watching here between P13 and P14, and the net battle for Pro-Am lead. So what kind of exit can Thomas Walsh get compared to that Aston Martin, as we see the PS5 AMG Mercedes of Craig Law coming in. So is that going to be a driver change, or will Law be staying in the car? Let's find out. That Ferrari a bit better on the brakes compared to the Aston Martin. Iron links, pink and black Ferrari. They've got the 488 of Bidzogo for Team Phoenix 1 closing in on them. So this is the beauty of endurance racing. You're battling a car for position, but then you've got a quicker car coming up behind you for blue flags. 2 Ferraris. So Thomas Walsh pulls to the side and lets Bidzogo through. And you saw Danny McCutcheon there just taking a little bit of a curb. A little bit too much than what you would have wanted. And then Aston Martin, sponsored by Dairy Ice Cream. Farmhouse Dairy Ice Cream. I could do with some ice cream, to be honest. It's bloody hot here. It's currently, I think it's around about 24 degrees where I am in the UK. Derby in the East Midlands. Did we just... So Craig Law has rejoined, so he's going to be potentially catching Walsh and McCutcheon. And African Thunder is now back into the lead of AM-Class. Now that AM-Class has been really interesting one to watch as well, because this has been changing every stint. To be honest, I can't quite work out who's on the better strategy, because I know they're all a little bit out of sync compared to the other classes. But African Thunder is leading away, and they've certainly shown they've got a lot of pace in that South African car. I believe they're from South Africa as well. I'm just assuming, I think they are South African, so apologies if you're not, but I'm pretty sure they are a South African driver pair in there. And we are certainly represented with nationalities in this race. We've got South Africans, got the Vikings from Denmark, Italians, the Scottish, the English. We've got a Frenchman who's only done 50 minutes of driving. I'm sorry, Will, I had to say it. Czech Republic, Poland, Croatia. We've got people from all over the world racing. America as well. We've got an American team. I forgot the Americans. How can you forget the Americans? Southern State Racing here. People representing a lot of nationalities on the grid, a lot of manufacturers. It's great to see. Great to have you all with us. Thank you for signing up. It's been epic so far, and we've got another fantastic 4 hours and 51 minutes yet to come. So track temp has just dipped. Only by a degree, down to 39 degrees now from 40. So that could just be the start of the track just starting to come down ever so slightly. So the Ferrari of course at Horizon coming into the box, serving their penalty and doing a driver swap actually. And in fact that penalty I don't think will get served that because they swapped drivers, I believe. I'll just double check that. I don't think that penalty is going to clear if they swap drivers. I'm sure they swap drivers. Back on board with our friends from Denmark. Nordic E-Racing Jorgensen is closing up to the 723. In fact, they've gone past it. Vonderek from Virtual Racing League has boxed. So Vonderek is in the pits for Virtual Racing League. And the battle, Valren and Mikowski, shall I say, in 717 AMG Mercedes for SPR Europe. Been doing an absolute cracking job this stint. He's looking really racy. Currently P3 overall. He's hunting down Team Phoenix 2. I'm back on board with my teammate Thomas Walsh because he's looking extremely racy with Danny McCutcheon from Turn 1 Sim Racing. He's stuck behind him. Can he find a way past that Aston Martin? As I said, this is quite an interesting battle between these two teams. They know each other very, very well. We're all friends here at FRL and Turn 1 Sim Racing. Danny McCutcheon, who is an FRL Sprint Sunday AM tier champion, and won the championship in our Sunday series just gone. So he's in good form, McCutcheon. He's also recently made the conversion across to PC as well, so he's racing on both PlayStation and PC, which is it's no easy task considering the physics are different. However, PlayStation is getting the update next week for 1.9. Fire Victor, all these different tracks in Pro-Am are interesting, no idea where we are at this point. It's really good to see as we see Thomas Walsh just getting a little bit hasty in that braking zone. But yeah, back to the strategies, it is really good to see. I think the battle Pro-Am is going to go right down to the wire at this rate, which is great. This is exactly what we wanted with these having different categories. At one point, we're just going to have one class. So we thought introducing the three classes will add more competition throughout the field, and this is exactly what we wanted. So yeah, with the cars on different strategies, it makes it interesting. Some cars are doing longer, some cars are doing shorter. And we'll just see Craig Law. Now this is for position. Now I know I've just been talking about the different classes, but at the end of the day, we are all battling for overall position. So although Craig Law is P13 and he's a pro category driver, this is for position. So he doesn't, Walsh and McCutcheon don't need to get out of the way for him. It is a three-way battle here, ladies and gentlemen, on your screens for P11, 12 and 13th. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we've had a red flag thrown due to a 50% majority of the grid being disconnected. So please just bear with us for 10 to 15 minutes while we sort the server out and restart this race. So just, bear with us. Thank you. Red flag.